Everybody in this house, are you ready? We have some amazing people with us tonight. We have Beck, who I've been stalking for the last couple of weeks and begging him to come back and talking to everybody that I can find that lives in his neighborhood. And they keep telling me, leave him alone, butthole. The great, the wonderful, the comic man himself, the big dog coming in, the Puerto Rican stallion, Macho Man. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me back, man. I know you've been knocking on my door and calling and emailing me and DMing me and to come back, but it's all good, man. I had a blast with the last one we had, and I'm glad to be back. I was looking forward to it.
Excellent. Now we also have a young lady that I am really excited to have on the show. I say this about everybody who comes on the show. I love bomb everybody to death, but she's really amazing. She is Bug or the Bug X. She calls herself the Ash. Some people call her the Ashlyn. She is Bug. Bug, how are you today, and how are things going?
As well as they possibly can be. Thank you for having me.
Now, for people don't know, she's a awesome old school style gamer. She's a big retro fan. Also, she knows more about Pokemon than I probably ever will know because I know nothing of Pokemon outside of just looking at the little characters or cards. And I was always told, "Oh, this is going to be a big thing," and I was like, "No," and I was unbelievably wrong 20 something plus years ago, and I'm still wrong now for not knowing what Pokemon is. So, without that everything, I'd like to say a little shout out to the Loot Bros podcast. They have a big guest coming on this coming Monday. It'll be RGT85. He has a big show on YouTube. Also, shout out to Kalai and Maticon at the Loot Bros Driftcast, which is a Nintendo podcast. And because he has gave me a nice shout out to Sony, and what I mean by Sony, the Collector Sony show, based out in Arizona. Shout out to their awesomeness. So cool for you guys. Hope to be on your show eventually. Even though it's like you collect all these games, you don't play them, and I played almost every game you have collected, which is very sad. Also, one last shout out to Residence Daryl at the YouTube channel. If you haven't watched it yet, please give it a shot. He has a ton of good shorts and it's super awesome. And it's basically him going around from place to place collecting games all over the place and making deals and then selling them. And that's how I was able to meet the awesome and amazing Macho Man, who's named after Hector Camacho Camacho, the Puerto Rican great boxer of all time. And like me, he is also a Yankees fan, so he's hoping that I have to ask him how was the new game because I have yet to get it. I'm assuming it's awesome.
If you're speaking about the show, I have not played it.
Okay, so we're both in the same
I
boat.
haven't played the show in a long time.
I don't
I don't know.
have the gigabytes for it, man. It's almost like 150 gigabytes. I don't have that kind of stuff. It's kind of like with the NBA 2K being free right now on PSN Network for the game of the month for the PSN Network is NBA 2K uh what is it, the Toko or whatever it is. It's like a cell shaded game. It's in black and white. It's awesome, by the way. I can't think of the name of it. And then there's another one, but it's just the 2K is 220 plus gigs. And I'm like, this is not even for the actual game itself. It's for all the little add ons and them charging you all this money. It's, just so by next year, that 220 gigs will be worth nothing, absolutely nothing. And then it'll go up and up because all they're doing is they're killing you on your add ons. Now, I
Well, I was looking it up, man, and look, I love baseball. I love watching baseball, but I don't know. I can't really get into playing the game. Like I tried Madden. I think I like baseball more than football. Watching, however, I know it's weird, but I like to play Madden more than I would like to play MLB The Show. I know that MLB The Show is a great game. It's just I played it before. I don't know. I'd rather watch baseball than play the MLB The Show. But I just stick with Madden when it comes out, but I've been slacking on sports games in general. But it's a great game. I'll give you that. It is a great game. MLB The Show is a great game.
Now, I have a question for everybody here. Um, if you could bring back one TV show, cartoon from your childhood, What cartoon show and why, and what did it mean to you growing up? Bug, would you like to go first?
Buzz Lightyear Star Command. It only ran for a year. It only had 2 seasons, and it was awesome. In fact, when Disney made the new Buzz Lightyear movie last year, I was really, really hoping that's when they were going to revamp this and make it awesome because there was just so much story. The characters were all diverse. It was incredible. Not only that, but they tackled various situations like addiction, overworking, social issues. It was just really great. I remember waking up on Saturday mornings with my sisters and my dad and immediately running down and turning on to watch the newest episode. It was just fantastic.
What about you, Mach?
I will throw in. That's actually a good show. I watched that when I was younger. Also, I think it was on the Disney Channel. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I would say I watched Doug. I like Doug on Nickelodeon, and I think that if I could unwatch it when I was younger, that would be a show I would want to like watch for the first time again. I think Doug was awesome. I think Doug. I don't know. Back like the shows back then were really good. The cartoon shows today, to me, it's not that great. But I think the shows back in like the '90s had a lot more heart and better stories, and just about just kids doing things like Hey Arnold and Doug, and just kids living their life and going through the life of the ups and downs. So I would say Doug because I like Pork Chop the dog, and Skeeter's his buddy. So that would be a show that I would like to come back. That was a good show.
All right, because I am old as dirt, and my love of '80s cartoons, because that's when I was a child, would be Black Star. For those who don't know, Black Star is about a Native American astronaut who gets trapped on this one planet, and I'm Comanche Indian and Irish. I bring it up almost every show. It's like I have to in some form or reason. And so it was about an Indian, and it's the it's the kind of like the precursor to He-Man. It really is a precursor to He-Man 'cause it's from the same people. And he's this astronaut, and he has one half of this really kick-ass sword, and the other person has the other half, which is the bad guy. And it's so much different things going on. It only lasted one season, but I had the action figure for it, and I've always loved the character. I always thought he was cool, and he was always awesome. And I would love to see that come back, like either in a movie or come back in just any form, man. Because like, how awesome! Well, how often do you have like a Native American hero anymore? I mean, the only one you could,
One in space
yes, one in space.
and in space. Get out of here.
Now, moving along, I want to get to because I'm gonna do it in alphabetical order, if that's okay. The Capcom show. What did y'all guys or ladies? I apologize. What did y'all think of the Capcom show? What did you want to see from them, and what was missing? Because I have lots of things that were missing that I wanted to see. But what are your thoughts, Macho?
Capcom. Like I said, I was gonna watch the highlights. So I will say with these shows, man, I try my best not to watch it live. I know the hype is there. I want to watch it as soon as possible, but I try to watch it when it's done so I can fast forward all the garbage. In my opinion, that's like just I don't care for it, so I can just get through it real quick. So I would say with Capcom, I, I would say I'm not. It was okay. I don't think it was great, but I don't want to sound like every show was not great. I think all the shows were pretty good, but with Capcom, I didn't see anything that really stuck out to me. I know that I forgot the name of that dinosaur mech game they're coming out with, and they've been trying
Exoprimal.
Exoprimal. They've been trying to really get that going, and I don't know. I don't know. Just something about it, just like it's definitely Capcom isk, but it's just like I can't really look. I haven't played it. I don't. I'm just saying that from what I'm looking at, they're really trying to really hammer that down, and I'm not. I'm not really hyped on it. Um, I know they didn't show like I said, man, there's nothing really that they showed that really sparked me. They showed some one really it's a really nice artistic looking game. It was, I don't know what it was, but it was like these little monsters were popping up at everywhere. It was really colorful, really artistic, but it looks cool. It's just nothing's really striking me. And then unfortunately, I'm gonna hold out to every show every year. I'm holding out for Dino Crisis, and Dino Crisis is just, the Resident Evil's showing a lot of love to Resident Evil, which is fine. I love Resident Evil. Shout out to Resident Daryl, but I really enjoy those games. But man, Dino Crisis, I would love to see a remake or maybe a reboot of that game. So hey, I'm gonna be pretty quick. Capcom was kind of forgettable for me.
And what about for you, Bug?
Honestly, when I was looking through the list, I just saw a lot of repeats oh, the five, Diablo 3 or 5, I think that's coming out. I honestly would just like to see a new game with a new story. I mean, I kind of feel like everything is a sequel to something, to the point where we just don't know where it all began anymore. It'd just be nice to have a new game.
Well, they do have a couple new games coming out. Now the problem is I love this. Pragmata is becoming problematic because it's the second time they pushed it back. And the thing is, I don't think they know what to do with this. If you've looked into what Pragmata is, and like just from the trailers and stuff, it's it's a little girl being protected by a soldier in space, and it's like, okay, did you basically get Hideo Kojima to write you some kooky stuff, or did Hideo Kojima like recommend something to you, and now you don't know what to do with it because you wrote yourself into a corner? Because that's why you pushed it back another year, because you don't know how you're gonna make the story work. Now, I really do think that their show was kind of half butt. Now, I do think the goddess, excuse me, let me make sure I'm saying this right, because I had taken down my notes here to make sure my notes were corrected. Um, and I love my Path of the Goddess, which is basically Okami meets Onimishu, if you're familiar with either one of those games. And it does have a little Piano 9 mixed into it from the GameCube. For those who are not familiar, Onimishu was a PlayStation 2 game. There was four different games, and they also had a fighting game, by the way. Um,
That was the game, by the way, I was talking about. The really artistic looking, colorful game.
yes, that
That was the game. Passive Goddess.
not a problem. And that was Residence Daryl. Speaking of him, he is at church having dinner with friends.
Preach.
Nah, man, he's super awesome. Now, Path of the Goddess does look good, but again, it has a lot of Okami in it, mixed with some other things. I would really like them to do. I think everybody walked away disappointed from this because they're not doing anything with Dino Crisis. And if you're doing all these remakes, it's like, hey, Dino Crisis is right here. There's Beautiful Joe. There's
Onimushu.
Tony Mishu and
Onimusha.
Tony Musha. Yeah, that's correct. But the thing is, I don't think they made enough money off their PlayStation 2 reboot, and so they didn't feel it was worth their time unless they just build it from the ground up. And that's what you need to do for something like that. You need to build it from the ground up, and they're having too many issues. Now, Exoprimal, because there's so many different damn shooters out there, I don't think that's going to go nowhere here in America. Maybe in Japan, because the Japanese always give their people a lot more love. And then with the Street Fighter, I mean, the Street Fighter was a weak showing. I'm gonna tell you why Street Fighter was a weak showing. With Street Fighter, okay, you need to show the characters, you need to show backgrounds, you need to build that up. All you did was talk about a new tournament coming out and someone winning $1 million. You know what that means? You're just trying to get as many bodies in there as you can. I don't like that they went with this ESG crap and they're taking these loans from people they shouldn't be taking loans from, and they're basically saying, "Oh, well, you can make your type of game you want in Japan. You just can't make your type of game you want anywhere else." And send it on over. That to me is a big problem onto itself, and I think Capcom will end up being the next big company, if they continue this, to get woke and go broke. And I don't want that. I want Capcom to make big, beautiful games, and character models to continue to be beautiful. Like Cammy, who was my favorite Street Fighter character. But unfortunately, this year, if you play Street Fighter 6, she is not that good now. They did change her where she's no longer a charge character, so she's so much more easier to use, but she doesn't do as much damage. So, like, I can't beat like physical characters like Zangief just straight up puts me like out. The two new big brute characters, they just whip me. I mean, I can go with everybody else, but those three, I have no chance because I hate how it is now. Like you can't counter pick. So back in Street Fighter 4, you can still counter pick somebody if you're playing online. Now it's like there's no counter picking. You're stuck with somebody unless you leave and come back, and then you're stuck with that person. So you got to leave the whole game, then come back to the game in order to pick, which I think is dumb. And I understand they did it because it's easier on their net code to do that rather than having you change up. But still, just ekes me because I can't counter pick, man. I'm such a counter picker. That's why I used to have like 20 different um people I could use. I could actually use all the characters, but like I was a master of at least 20 of them. And so it was just really annoying. It's like now it's like all I can play with is either Cammy, Guile, DJ, or who's the other character I like? I can't think of his name.
Chun Li.
No, no, no. My homeboy Nappy X is Chung Li. And speaking of Nappy X, so he's been giving me crap because he thinks I'm dodging him online. Dude, if you get on at 11 o'clock, which is like 10 o'clock in Texas, and I'm over here on the East Coast, which is 11 o'clock here or slash 12 o'clock, I got to be at work at like almost 6 o'clock. So I got to get up by 5. So it's kind of unfair to make me stay up to try to play you and then say, oh, I'm dodging you. Dude, I'm not dodging you. I want to kick your butt. But so everybody's got in on that show. So let's move on to the next show, which is Ubisoft. What did you think of Ubisoft, Bug?
Are we talking about the Xbox showcase?
No, I'm talking about the Ubisoft showcase that came out.
I
You missed
wasn't
that
aware
one.
that they had. Yeah, I didn't. I think
Well,
I
You
was too
missed it.
focused on Starfield from the Bathsheba Game Studios. I was actually kind of looking forward to that one,
well,
but
we can go ahead and talk about Xbox and get on to Ubisoft afterwards. What did you think of the
I don't
Xbox?
want to unrail everything. I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
I
no,
didn't
no, no,
realize
no.
there was
Go
a
ahead, go
Ubi.
ahead. There is no unrailing. You're good.
Oh, I was kind of excited for the Xbox showing of Starfield. I mean, they released 324 images of this game, and it looks like just pure awesomeness with spacesuits and spaceships, but kind of like a Western Fallout kind of feel to it. I mean, I am really excited to play this game. It just seems amazing, and then I know that Xbox is also releasing like a limited edition headset and
A hard drive as
controller for
well.
it. Yeah, I mean, for such a great price as well. Not to sponsor Xbox, I still think that their customer service could do a lot better, but $350 for a 1 terabyte Xbox Series S, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I think that's garbage. For the fact is that it doesn't run fast enough. I actually have the Xbox Series X. I did have the Series S, and it just doesn't run at fast enough speed. The chip in it's not good enough to produce. Now, no, if you're just going to run emulators on it, that's fine. So if you're playing like old school emulators, GameCube, whatever, now they took those tools away where you can no longer do that. So shame on you, Microsoft. So if you wanted to do that, you can no longer do that now. Microsoft also is going to be having day one, and what I mean by day one is every game that was shown at the Microsoft showcase, most of those are going to be day one Game Pass. So you don't really have to buy those games. You can just Game Pass it, and it's what $15 a month for premium because that's what I currently pay. Uh, so there's a lot of good things coming out, but I hate that everything is just 2024, 2024. Hey, you know, I was going to take you out to dinner, but guess what? 2024. Now, what'd you think about the rest of the Microsoft show? Yes, Bug.
I mean, there was a couple things that I thought was cool. Let me pull up that list. The Dungeons of Hindenburg looked really cool. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the art style that the game is in versus what they're advertising it with. But I thought it was an honorable mention. Um, Monkey Island, The Legend of Monkey Island. I remember playing the Monkey Island game on the PC way back in the early 2000s. I say way back, but Not that way
Well,
back.
there's two Monkey Islands.
Yeah, but there was one that you could play on the PC that I used to play with one of my older sisters, Clarissa.
You are
And
correct.
so
It originally started on the PC first and then moved over to the Xbox.
yeah, I haven't played the second one, but I am kind of I can't wait to play it, especially with it being Sea of Thieves. I have a brother-in-law who's really into the Sea of Thieves, so this might be fun.
And y'all can play together using the Xbox Game Pass.
I guess I could, yeah.
What do you think, Macho Man?
Well, I'll be surprised that people still play Sea of Thieves. I'll get that out the way. I didn't know that game was still going. It kind of reminds me of like Anthem, and people are somehow still playing that game. And so I'll just get that out the way. I'm surprised. With the games coming out that I saw, when they opened up with Fable, I was excited for the title Fable. Because Fable is Fable. 1, 2, and 3, they're great games, right? Fable's great. And then I looked at the game and I was like, this was kind of weird. I didn't like what I saw really. I didn't like the facial animations. Everything like kind of like looks like a little too realistic. I wasn't a big fan of that. I wasn't a fan of the protagonist not looking very attractive. I'll get that out the way right now. That was a little weird on their part. You can look that one up. That was weird. Second, I would say that they came out with another game with the guy, I think like a skeleton playing a banjo, and then a girl came up and just talking, and then that was it. I'm like, okay, what's this game about? It didn't show much. It was a cinematic. I forgot the name of it. It looks sort of interesting, but that's all they showed was this cinematic. And I'm like the guy's just playing the guitar, I think, and she comes up, hey, what's up? What's going on? And then it's like it's over. So I'm like, okay, can we show a little more, right? Then they came out with Star Wars. Star Wars looks good. Star Wars looks good. I'm looking forward to Star Wars. I couldn't really get into Jedi Fallen Order. I tried it. I'm not liking the combat. The protagonist, I just can't get behind this dude. I don't care. So the protagonist they got in this one looks a little more interesting. Like she's more like alive, which I like. Like she's more like upbeat. She's pretty cute. I saw her in real life, like who they captured on her. Really cute girl. I like it. So I will say this: Star Wars looks like it's going to go in a good direction. I like that. I don't have to use a lightsaber all the time. It's a person with just a gun, and there's shooting behind cover, stuff like that, like a regular Star Wars game.
And you know where it takes place, right?
No.
Okay, now the new Star Wars, which is Star Wars Outlaw from Ubisoft, takes place in a far, far galaxy far away. But here's the kicker to it. If you watch the whole trailer and you watch the after show from Ubisoft, you'll realize that it takes place during the time after Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo is frozen in hebocarbonation or hebocarbonite. And so it's the time when the whole the Empire has its grips really deep and everything, but all the mercenaries, all the scoundrels are actually rising up and making money and doing all these different deals throughout the outer rims. So this is going to be really good. For the fact is that she could run into Luke Skywalker, she could run into Princess Leia, or just any of those characters, and of course, maybe she can lead into. They can lead this in, mind you, that she's the one who gives him the information that leads to finding Han Solo.
Ah, yeah, dude, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool, actually. They can kind of lead that into it and how they found
Ubisoft
Luke.
has some very good
Luke
writers outside
um,
of the whole thing going on with Splinter Cell.
Yeah, man. Is that always EA? It's. I'm not gonna go into a rant about EA with Battlefront. I'm not saying Jedi Survivor or the Jedi game sucks. I'm not. It's just not for me. I couldn't get into it. It's still. I'm sure it's still a solid game.
Now,
I just can't get into it.
Jedi Survivor, which is the second one, because Fallen Order is the first one. The second
That's the
one
one I played. Yes.
actually does a good job of showing you how to bleed a kyber crystal in the basically seen in the books and also seen in the comics of Vader bleeding a kyber crystal because most people don't never seen that actually happen. So that was kind of cool that they shown it in real time of how to bleed a kyber crystal. For those who don't know, because I'm a Star Wars nerd, kyber crystal is the little crystal inside your lightsaber, and when you put your will and your malice into the kyber crystal, you're bleeding it, you're changing it. So in other words, that's why it turns crimson red, because you're putting your hate, your malice, and your rage into it.
That's pretty dope. Okay,
For those who
and
don't
that's
know.
cool. And that's cool that they kind of elaborate on that story with Star Wars. So for the fans, so past Star Wars, I would say that's like one of the main games I'm looking forward to. I know it's Ubisoft and it's on all, but that was part of the Xbox showcase. That's what they showed. Forza's Forza. Um, I'm not saying Forza's cool. It's just they showed another one. Uh, you know, I guess I don't know if they showed any Halo season 4. I'm still playing Halo. I don't think they showed anything really on that. Um, Other than that, yeah, right? And I don't. There's nothing else really there. I kind maybe I forgot something, but it, I know I saw that Phil Spencer was wearing a Hexen shirt, which is a really, really, really old school game, like from like the early 2000s, maybe even 99 or 98, I think. And he was asked about it, but he said that it was just like there's unless he's just lying, but he's like there's nothing behind that. He's just wearing that shirt. So it
Now,
would be cool to see a Hexen a comeback, but whatever.
you mentioned Phil, and a couple weeks ago on the Loot Bros podcast, where me, Daryl, and the rest of the Loot Bros were all talking about his little speech and him
The
basically
one I
saying,
was on with you guys is
no,
that
no,
the one?
no, this is a different one. He was talking about his
Okay.
speech that he wanted to quit, that he was
Oh
wrong.
yes.
Okay. Now, here's something I had told him earlier today, and since he's not on, I will just speak on it. He was unbelievably clever in saying that he wanted to be fired. And here's where it gets you. Not a lot of people understand this. And I understood this morning. I had a sense of clarity coming over me, like an epiphany almost. Is that rather than you talking about the developers of Redfall, who failed miserably, by the way, Arcanian Studios failed miserably, and every one of those clowns should be fired for that debacle. It's garbage. Now, with that said, he took all the heat and all the press. No one's talking about the developers. No one's talking about Redfall. They're talking about him saying that he wanted to quit. So it was unbelievably a clever move when it came to doing that as a presser. And I didn't understand it until now. And I was going to speak to him about that on the show, but he didn't show up. And so now I'm speaking to the rest of this crew here. And it was a very clever move for him to do that. Because, like I said, no one's talking about Arcane Studios' failures. No one, they didn't even talk about fixing it at the Xbox presser. If you notice, no one talked about it. They didn't admit any fault. All people mentioned was Phil Spencer talking about being fired and that he failed, not the studios that put this together, that were paid millions of dollars. Everybody should have their money removed from them. That's almost as bad as Blood. Was it Bloodborne? Right? No, no, not Bloodborne. It was Blood something another for the Xbox One and the PS4. It was the guys who made what they make. They made Borderlands and they made this game a Battleborn. That's correct,
Oh,
right?
jeez,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my God, man.
It
That
was it was the
that thing's
clowns who
dead.
yeah, it was a clown it was just it was almost as bad as the clowns that made Battleborn, but they at least were able to take the blame for it and all the loss of money. And so Phil was unbelievably smart by putting all the blame on him, so that way he protects that studio because they own that studio. Because that studio is part of Bethesda Games, by the way. So they own that studio. So that way the studio doesn't look bad. Because remember, they still have their baby coming out that Bug's looking forward to, that she's excited about, the space awesome game. But yes, so there's a lot of things going on within Microsoft themselves, but more or less that was a third party show. They showed a lot of independent games. They showed a game that looked very similar to Zelda as well. I cannot think of that name right now. It doesn't cross my mind. If anybody has no other thoughts on Microsoft, I'd like to move on to Ubisoft.
I think that's it for that I can think of
All right. Well, let
for
me. Well, Bugs, or is that it for you as well?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
All right, so I would like to go first on the Ubisoft. Now, the reason why I'd like to go first on the Ubisoft forward, because every year they open up their show and it's so cringy. They do the Just Dance, they have the people come out and they do their dancing and everything. Look, I love the dance, man. I can dance almost any type of style of dance. I do salsa dance, I do Texas two step because I'm originally from Texas. I love techno music, that's my favorite music, and I spend all night dancing because I grew up in Germany and I was able to go to clubs at 13 up to 18. So yes, dude, I was clubbing every night,
I've seen
bro.
those memes.
I mean, I was clubbing every night. I love that. Um,
Please tell me you took some good pictures.
unfortunately, this is before smartphones, so no.
I'm
Um,
talking about the film roll ones. I
n-
know what those are. The
no,
quick ones.
it's all up here in this big old chrome dome, madam. I am so
Yeah,
sorry.
no evidence.
It's
Yeah,
probably for the
well,
best.
yes,
That sounds
yes, it
horrible.
probably is for the best. But I love Germany. It was unbelievably amazing. I always say that Germany and New York taught me everything I needed to know how to deal. Let me rephrase that. How to properly talk to women. There we go. Um,
Wunderbar.
well, because I always say this. It's the ratio aspect. In New York, it's 100 guys to every one girl. So if you don't have game, you're not in good shape. You're pretty much out of luck, buddy. You're gonna spend the rest of your life alone. South Carolina uh, is, I believe, 50 girls to every one guy. So even a guy who's unattractive, such as myself, I'm not that good looking, can end up with something pretty decent. So I'm quite amazed that I live in this wonderful area, and you're in the beautiful sunshine state of Florida, and I believe there is approximately 50 guys to every 30 girls. So your ratio is not bad. Your ratio is pretty good.
It's not horrible. It needs a little work, but it's not horrible.
Now, going back to Ubisoft because I'm getting Bug over here, kind of irate. She's like, well, "What show did I agree to be on?"
Oh no, I think this is fantastic.
um, you know, um, so now I want to talk about. So they did the Just Dance dancing, which was cringy. I mean, I like the Just Dance games; they're not bad. The music is kind of ho hum. Eh, I want to talk about the Avatar game because the Avatar game is basically Far Cry reskinned with a lot of Avatar elements, and I have no problem with that. But you're trying to sell this as something more than what it is, and the problem I have with Ubisoft's show before I go into other games is that they have two female protagonists, and I don't think you can switch. Now, I remember growing up when women would say, well, there's nobody that represents us outside of Laura Croft, and that's horrible. And then they had all these cool games that had really cool women in them that I enjoyed. If you ever played Rogue Ops, uh, she's a beautiful blonde, but she's still a badass. Okay. You also had Velvet Assassins, which is actually cool. You have this brunette. It's in the 1940s. She's actually an assassin. This is for Xbox 360 and for PS3. Velvet Assassins, and she's this beautiful brunette, and it's World War II, and she's going around killing Nazis, and she's trying to assassinate Hitler, if I am correct. So that's an awesome game. But there's so many good female protagonists, and but later on, like as we started doing, Mass Effect and other games, you could choose who you wanted to be. Same thing in Cyberpunk. I hate that Ubisoft is forcing you just to be a girl in Avatar. At least it's what they said and what they've shown, and of course the Star Wars Outlaw, which is fine. I have no problem with that one. That one I'm really excited for because it looked like they wrote that character for her. So I'm excited about that one. That one is a day one purchase. The Avatar is like, I will gamefly you, sir. Um, but well, because their avatars, maybe the creature or the alien's unisex. I don't know. But there's a reason why they didn't show Splinter Cell because 6 months ago they were saying that Sam Fisher was going to be dead or Sam Fisher was going to be retired and his daughter or some girl was going to take it over. I'm like, look, I'm all for female protagonists, but don't beat the dead horse to freaking death, man. You're like, just beating, beating, beating. I
Don't
don't
take
need.
out Sam Fisher, man. That's like taking out Snake.
It
Is that
is,
like what they
man.
did in Metal Gear Solid 2? You don't take out the main guy. You just make up a new character. Let it be a side chick or a side guy. You don't take out the main guy that everyone knows. Sam Fisher, Ironside. What's his name?
Mike
That does.
Ironside, you were correct, sir. That's
Yeah,
what I was getting ready to
he
say.
does. And what a great.
Great
I'm sorry to
voice.
bust in like this, but I hope that doesn't happen, man. And yes, I didn't mention, but yeah, they didn't mention anything about Splinter Cell, which was unfortunately, man. We haven't seen Splinter Cell in how long now? It's been
Well,
a long time. 2012.
you actually saw brief glances in Ghost. Was it the Ghost Recon Breaking Point and the other Ghost Recon Wild Sides where they had these special mission packs where he was in, but just for a brief time. Now, I also want to talk about they spent so much money on these cell phone games, and
Yep.
like they're doing a Division one, they're doing a Assassin's Creed one, and people said, "Why are they doing this?" Because it's cheap, it's easy, and it's easy money because they're just going to get you in the microtransactions. I'm really excited about Skull and Bones because I'm thinking that all
Still
the
making
extra
that?
they're
It's
still
still being
making it,
made.
and
It, what?
they've taken 2 more years to try to fix this because I
Just
think
two
they
after the seven?
yes, I think well, they're releasing a beta in the next coming month, so we'll see how that works out. I think that all the problems that they've had, because see, what they tried to do was just take the ship aspect of Assassin's Creed, the pirate one. I can't think, Black Flag, and make that into a game without actually going on the islands and getting random booty. And I think they made a mistake there. I think they should have just made it where you can actually go on islands, get booty, and you can like do all these different things. And I think they made the corrections, and I am excited to move going forward onto the Blood Dragon Netflix TV series, which is based off Far Cry's Blood Dragon series. So I hope that's going to be pretty awesome. And then the Prince of Persia 2D cell game. Remember, they had been working on a Prince of Persia game for the last 4 years. It was supposed to be a remake of the original. What it was is they said, hey, if we're spending all this money, we might as well make a different one rather than putting out the exact same game that we put out. And that's how you got that game. And it's just a Metrovania kind of game. What are your thoughts on that, Bug?
I honestly would prefer the remake of the Prince of Persia game. I kind of feel like it's a little risky to make a brand new game because it's either going to be really really good or it's going to be really really bad. I mean, I've never really seen a remake of a game that's like, this is kind of in the middle. It's either you hate it or you love it. There is no in between.
Face off show altogether, like the Star Wars, the Avatar, um, the Blood Dragon Netflix show.
Well, in the short period of time that I've had to read through the various articles about it, I once again I have to agree with you with the whole Avatar thing. I'm not a fan of the female lead character. An icon is an icon. I got to agree with you on that. It's kind of like when they replaced Sam Witwicky on the Transformers, how it was just instantly terrible. I kind of agree with you. It's just because, I mean, I understand making everything PC, but like a good story is a good story and it just shouldn't be messed with. Uh, let's see. I am kind of excited for the Assassin's Creed Return of the Classic Assassins. I
Was that Mirage? That
Yep,
the Mirage
it would
one?
be Mirage, but I think it's actually before number one. So, because remember in number one, if you play the original on the Xbox
That's you.
360 or the PS2, the
Yeah.
original he's already established and he's kind of a troublemaker. Whereas this one, he's just joining the Assassin's Creed. So this is different because he's not a troublemaker yet. He's just recently joining. So I think it's a prequel to one that leads into one. If that makes any sense.
what I really like about it is it's going to be on the MetaQuest, and I really like the VR games. It really makes you feel like you're in the game. So I'm kind of looking forward to playing Assassin's Creeds in VR. That'd be
So
kind of
if you're
cool.
looking forward to that in VR, what about Resident Evil 4 in VR?
Oh, I don't want to sound too girly here, but I cannot do scary games like that. It will keep me up all night.
Now,
I
are you
just
looking
can't.
forward to Horizon Zero Dawn, which has it released yet? Their VR? Okay.
I don't think the VR one, but I know the one on the PS5 has, and I think it's a really good sequel to the game. I kind of like the character. I love her hair. I love her facial features. I mean, I know for a while it was very controversial that she wasn't incredibly feminine, but if you have a girl character living in a time where there is no beauty products, there isn't any hairbrushes or, well, I mean, there probably is hairbrushes, but like any feminine products, you're gonna get this butch kind of girl, and I think it fits. It was really good. And her storyline with her dad, no spoilers, is just really great.
I have no complaints with your comments. Those are spot on. What you say, Mach?
Good, man. I don't know. I think the show was okay. Prince of Persia. I played some of the old ones, The Warrior Within, I think it was, and the one that he like split into like this like shadow looking.
The Warrior Within is the second one, which
Yeah,
is more
second
like
one. Yeah,
Ninja Gaiden, and
it was
the
violent.
Prince of
I think it
Persia:
was.
Two Thrones is the one with the shadows, which is the third
Yeah.
and final one.
Yep, and then they made the like a reboot or remake.
Ends, and then they did a prequel one, which was a cell shaded one. Because I
Yeah,
have both of them on my shelves right here beside me.
and they're making them. I mean, like, dude. I mean, it looks good. I don't. You know. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
That's the one with the gauntlet. That's the two
Yep.
D cell shading one in a 3D
It
world.
was all right. It was just
That is
they.
a
I guess
beautiful
they
game.
kind of. Yeah, they kind of lost track. I want to say since when Assassin's Creed was kind of popping off, it kind of took away from Prince of Persia. But Prince of Persia, I think that they kind of want to make it a little different from Assassin's Creed. And I remember that one. And I think that with going with the 2D side scrollers, it looks really cool. Um, I'll hold judgment on some other stuff I was going to say about it, but I would say that it looks different. It looks like something else that's new and fresh, and it seems like a lot of people are looking forward to it. So I'll maybe I'll try it. I don't know, but Ubisoft, it's an okay show. I mean, it was okay. Like a lot of these shows are just they're just okay. It's nothing like I'll say I don't get excited anymore for games. I look forward to games, but I don't get excited anymore because yeah, they're making this great looking game and then when it comes out, it's a complete mess and it's a complete garbage. So, I always try to hold my judgment until the game is actually being played by me.
Now, thank you for leading me into that segue. And this is to talk about the death of E3 because what has happened over the
Rip.
past couple of years, and this is before COVID, mind you, but E3 died. And I'm going to tell you why it died because game developers hated having to go there to bring an alpha or a tech demo for people to play and have something open and spend all this money, even though it was a way for them to, get some little adult entertainment on the side. For these guys coming in from Japan, hello to Nobu Intagaki. He's just entered the chat. Um, for those who don't know who Tonobu Itagaki is, he used to be the head designer for Team Ninja, who got in trouble at messing with the female help, and then of course going to strip clubs and touching women inappropriately. Sir, you have to pay for those things. Um, okay, Bug did not
Bring
get
back
that
the
joke.
booth babes. Bring back the booth babes.
I am so confused right now.
All right,
Like, what?
so what I'm talking about is that all these developers used to go there from Japan and other places, and they go there. They just like any type of big sporting events, they bring in adult entertainment. And it was said allegedly that they would be, a lot of these guys would intertwine, with entertainment or like he said, the booth babes, so forth. But the reason why they got rid of it, and this is very important, now they can control their narrative. They don't have to show anything to the masses unless they want to. And it's all kind of like this is in-game footage. No, it's not. This is stuff that's running off your PC or your Mac, and these are things that are not really that great. And the reason why it was so important to get rid of E3 because then you don't have a large group of people. Remember, there's been demos stolen and game stolen, and sometimes it was just empty, and sometimes it was cracked, and people were like kind of called out. Now the big boys, don't have to show their big guns anymore. They only have to show you just a little bit. And that's the reason why I think E3 died. What do you think, Macho?
I will say that I do miss E3. I grew up watching E3. It was a special time for me to get with my buddies and watch some games being released and announced. And Of course, the booth babes I enjoyed, and the interviews and the special effects and the lighting and the extravagant everything. But yes, unfortunately, it looks like they stopped doing it because it saves money, it saves time, it saves effort. Um, it saves a lot of resources that could be used for whatever else they're going to use it for. Um, and and also, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a tinfoil hat thing to say that they control more what they want to control, because even though it's live, it could be edited on YouTube. You know, a lot of it can be edited out, or they can show things or not show things, and they can't really be held accountable. Like at E3, you are at E3, you're on stage and you hear boo or woo. It's gonna go one way or the other. But now on here, it's just like a dislike or hey, that sucks. So I guess it's just like, and everybody wants their own time to shine. Nobody wants to really share, even though it's weird because they didn't really share. Like, you know, Nintendo would go like, say, Sunday, and Saturday would be like, you know, Sony, and Friday would be like Xbox. So they shared, but they didn't really share the stage. You know what I mean? But now it's like, now it's only Xbox on their channel and only Sony on their channel, only Nintendo and any other developers. So it's like, you know, they want their own time and their own, like their own
And
time to
those are
show what they
monetized
got.
channels, by the way, so they're getting money for that.
Yeah, and you get a, you know, money from views and stuff like that. So it's like now they're actually getting paid to do what they would do at E3. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, I've never been to E3. I've been to other events like DreamHack and things like that. But I always wanted to go to E3. It used to not be open to the public, and then it did after a little bit. But you know, it was always in California. I just never did it. But it was
In
fun.
Atlanta one year, my friend.
That must have been a long time ago, 'cause I didn't know that.
Yes, I was there for that
So
one.
yeah. So it just seemed like a lot of fun for people that were going, and people for, you know, us at home watching from the TV screen. It just doesn't, to me, honestly, it just doesn't feel the same way watching like a live stream, like what we're talking about, like the last week or so. You know, it's a little different. It's now we're all just staying home. We're not out with other gamers and other people dressing up in cosplay and stuff like that. There was some cosplay, not a lot, but it was just more. It was like an amusement park of video games.
It was like the Comic-Con of games, and you got to dress up, you got to do your own little thing, and then I remember when they had the E3 or they're starting to do their own shows, but they let you go to the theater. Remember, you would get a free ticket. You would go to the theater because I've actually been to the theater numerous times in Sand Hills and other places, and Sony rep would be out there because this is when I used to still manage or excuse me, when I was the assistant manager. I was no longer a manager because I had left the company and came back a couple of times at EB Games. Well, it's not EB Games. It was GameStop by then, the evil corporation, which is now failing, which is super awesome. Uh, but no, the Sony rep, which I've known for years, would you know, hook me up with all types of free swag. So thank you. I can't remember that guy's name at all. But he would hook me up with a ton of swag. You know, the only person never hooked anybody up with swag, man, was the Nintendo guy. I don't know what the Nintendo guy. I guess they didn't give him anything either. You know, but the Sony guy, man, and the Xbox reps always gave you free stuff. They were always super cool to you. If you ever talked to them, for those listening that have worked retail. Um, but no, it was something special going to that theater, and you had all these people there who were big fans. And I remember the first time I went to the theater, this is when they were releasing the first Spider-Man trailer. And then at the end of the Spider-Man trailer, they showed Miles Morales in the game for the first time. And everybody lost their minds because they're like, oh no, man, we get to be Miles Morales. That's awesome.
Yeah, and just you were around people that were all happy or upset or sad and whatever. You had everyone having different sort of feelings there, but everyone was together. Like it's, for instance, like I went to MegaCon, like I said, like a couple months ago. It was a lot of fun. Do I want to see that on a stream, or do I actually want to go? I want to go. You know, I want to be there with everybody else, like, you know, experience it. I don't want to watch it on a stream, but you know what? It's the times that we live in. Things change. Everything's progressing into, everything's online. Everything's a stream. Everything's on a screen. So, you know, it's just the way it is, man. It's unfortunate, but oh well. least we still have something, I guess. Game awards.
Well, to me, man, it just makes me so freaking upset that we really have like next to nothing anymore. And it's just like, why did they even do that to us? Why did they just basically just like, oh, let's screw people over and not give them what they want anymore, which is kind of annoying. Why can't you just be cool, let people still have this? But again, this is about you can control your narrative better. You can do a better job of doing what you want to do. And it looks like Bug is ready to get in. Bug, what do you got to say? Have you unmuted yourself? I'm sorry.
She's talking to herself.
She's talking to herself. I think I may have muted you by accident. So if I have, let me see if I
Oh,
can
why would
get
that's
you
messed up?
unmuted. Hey, that was not on purpose, man. Um, let
Am
me.
I
She
back
wanna
now?
shut
Yes,
up.
you're
We
back
have to
now.
do
Oh,
it.
You're
okay.
back
All
now.
right. Yeah, yeah. You muted me on here. No, I was gonna say. I know going to college. That was some of my best time because I was in a gaming community: cards, tabletop games, PC games, console games. I mean, I was exposed to so many
Tabletop
different.
games. Hold up now. Let's talk about the tabletop games.
Uh-oh, Dungeon Master.
Yeah, that was the first time they were like, "Hey, have you ever heard of D&D?" No. How about Warhammer? What's that? It was the gaming community that introduced me to so.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of work too.
Expensive though, but awesome.
Oh yeah, like a starter, just to get started, you need about $500-$600. But I've never heard one person complain about it. I mean, like the gaming community was just so awesome. I that those are bonds that I have to this day, all the way back from college. I kind of hate the fact that everything is virtual now. Kind of like this, where it kind of feels like there's a barrier. Afterwards you can just shut your computer. That's all. There's nobody who's like, "Hey, how's the family? How's your mom? How's your dad? Okay, let's go play Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's go play Pokemon." I kind of miss being out there with the gaming community, with the nerds at places like MomoCon that just happened in Atlanta. Like that was awesome. I really wish we could bring back those places. They were great.
So you would like the community to actually be a real community rather than like I see you online and like you're just scratching the screen. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
kitty paws.
well, I mean, you're not willing to try new things if you're stuck in your room with your same old things. Like, I know the first time I played Dungeons and Dragons, somebody actually put a dice set in my hands and was like, "You are going to play. This is going to be fun. Let me teach you all of these rules. Here's an old book. Sit down here in this crappy little, like college sofa thing." And it was amazing. I had the best time of my life. I probably own like 20 sets of dice now. I'm addicted. I even have jewelry, like little earrings and stuff for D&D. I love it. But
She goes to your random game shop and like yo, let's play some dice. Like, do you want any characters or anything? No, no, no. We're just playing dice.
I just it was great. I was even introduced to Warhammer, and I remember helping this one guy build this massive castle setup. I mean, this thing was probably maybe 3.5 feet tall, and it was like easily a 4x4 situation. I mean, it was insane, and it was fantastic. It was great. We went to Firefly at the time. We went to various other local places. It was just really great to be out there in the gaming community. And I kind of feel like after COVID, it's kind of given everybody an excuse not to meet up, not to hang out, not to build stuff together. I kind of miss it.
That's why I started a fans only for like D&D. I'm like, see these dice? Would you like to see them in a different color?
Here, let me just like massage them in my hand.
You'd actually have people to pay for that, by the way. Very
I'm pretty
sad.
sure.
But no, with E3 dying, and the funny thing is like when you think of E3, you think of all these really super games being announced there. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid 4, just numerous games. But I do think of Hideo Kojima a lot. only because I hate Death Stranding, and so like I kind of love hate him now because I loved him so much for Metal Gear, but I hate Death Stranding with a passion.
Uh, I don't hate the game. I mean, I would just say that Hideo Kojima is a great director, a great writer of games, even though some of his games are completely bonkers. I can still kind of understand it, but um I couldn't really get into Death Stranding, and a lot of people can. I respectfully can't. They're making a sequel. Looks like this guy wants to be a director so bad, like a movie director so bad that he just puts it in his games, and they look phenomenal. They look phenomenal. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 had like the longest cutscenes of all time. But you know me, I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan. I like the Metal Gear Solid series. I just can't get into. I'm not gonna pony ride Hideo Kojima and just say everything he does is great because I'm not into
No,
everything. But when he makes Metal Gear Solid, which I don't know if he ever will again because he's not there anymore.
that will be a
Um,
big no.
yeah, so hey, I'm happy he's happy. He seems like I'm happy that he's still making games and he's still doing what he loves and excuse me. And if it, even though I'm not interested in playing it, still looks like everyone loving it.
Now, what game made it for you for the E3 bug? What was the game that basically made you love E3?
I
There was
just
no
honestly,
specific. Oh, I'm so. Oh, bug. My bad. I'm sorry. I
it's
thought you
okay. You can be
go.
bugged for a day, Macho Man. It's okay. It's fantastic being me.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I really loved watching E3 mainly for the Nintendo Day. That's the day that they would announce the new Pokemon game. They would give us a sneak peek of the starters, or you would see some crazy thing like a crazy like little Mario short somewhere. I mean, it was great for me. It was the Nintendo Day. I've always been a really big Nintendo fan, and I just enjoyed that day. I was actually kind of sad to see during the listings of all the games that Nintendo's not having a day uh, this year, or it hasn't been announced yet. One
It's
of the two.
called Tears of the Kingdom. That's gonna ride. They're gonna ride that horse all the way to the end of the year.
To be fair, though, if you've ever played Tears of the Kingdom, it's awesome.
I am currently playing it right now and using my bag of, or should I say, my cards of NPC cards, the little, here, let me show that to you on the camera there. And all you got to do is scan them. And then, I get all the little drop loot. So I just scan the heck out of these every day. And I get all this extra loot and I sell it or I keep it and make stuff. And that's how I can cheat. Oh, even though it's not cheat, it's legal in Zelda without having to do any extra things. Because if I didn't have that, I would not want to play Tears of the Kingdom. That game is tough, and I do love the freedom that it gives you to do everything, and just nothing but love for that game. Because look, Breath of the Wild was super super hard and annoying to me, but this one is still the same game, but they added all these extra things to make it easier on you. You can play it however you want to play it. You can tackle situations however you want to tackle them, where you're not like kind of forced, to do X, Y, and Z. And with that game, if it's not game of the year, like I played the Final Fantasy 16 demo, I played both parts of it. It's a good game, but it ain't game of the year. I mean, it's a good game onto its right, but it's not game of the year. Zelda's game of the year because of everything you can do and the freedom that you have. Even though it's on an old technology, it still does things the way they're supposed to be done within a game.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I spent an entire day messing with the duplication cheat until it was patched up. I think I had maybe 100 and some diamonds before it was all over. It was just messing around with the cheats for me was just amazing until those were patched up. It was awesome. I apologize for nothing. I am so rich.
What about you, Mach?
Uh, are we talking Zelda now?
No, we're talking about E3. What what basically the most fondest memory was? It just Hideo Kojima and just that thing? Was it the girls? Was it the boop? Was it basically back when X Play was still a thing and they would talk about all these different things and have this display because that was super awesome too.
Yeah. I like when it was a combination of all these things. It wasn't really one thing. It was just a combination of all the things I said earlier, and that we don't get anymore because they're all being streamed. So Yeah, I enjoyed it when when GameSpot, was a good website back in like '05 and '06, back when I was in high school, when they were going to
Garbage.
E3.
The garbage.
Yeah, they're garbage now. Same with IGN, they're trash. But back when those companies were really like really hitting it, man. Like you had to go to IGN, you had to go to GameSpot for information, and then there was a DVD that GameSpot came out with their road trip to E3, in '04, I think it was '04 and '05, and it was great just seeing the guys all happy and they're all packing their computers and laptops to go there. It was just cool. You can find that on YouTube. You just look up GameSpot's Road to E3. It's such a cool, like you want to see a throwback. Go watch GameSpot's like Road to E3. It was like '04, and look at all the games that are coming out and what it, bro. It was back when Nintendo, before it was the, remember the Nintendo Evolution?
Yes.
Remember when it was called that? And this show, they had like a replica of it, like they had like a concept art of it. That was back way back then. So it was cool just seeing the guys, um, and the girls. Everybody was just all the journalists. Now a lot of them are journalists, not journalists, but journalists would go and talk about games, and they would hook up their computers, and they're looking at all the booths. Dude, it was just fun to watch, man. Like it's just I like to answer your question. I enjoyed everything, everything that E3 brought to the table. It wasn't just one thing. It was everything that E3 in general was just a fun thing to watch and to be part of for just a weekend. It was like a little getaway. Like even though you're not leaving your house because you can't go unless you're going, obviously. You're not leaving. You're like you literally, hey, we're gonna watch E3 all weekend long, and we're gonna get snacks. We're gonna get Doritos, whatever. And we're gonna sit down with our friends, maybe play some D&D while we watch, and just have a good time. Now, I mean, you can still do it, but it's just like it's not the same, and I don't think it's ever gonna be the same again. I don't think we're ever gonna have a show, live show, other than like the Game Awards, that is gonna be like E3. I think that ship has sailed. Like, I mean, like when I'm talking sailed, it's so gone. Like Sea of Thieves, brother.
you know, my favorite thing about E3 was just them talking to the fans and the people who got to play the betas or these alphas, and they were so excited, and the people in the crowd were excited, and that's what made it for me. It wasn't talking to the developers because developers are going to give you the most generic answers. They're almost like a professional sports athlete who doesn't want to offend anybody because he wants to keep all his endorsements, and it's like, well, we're here, and we're hoping people will like the game. We're trying to make something that people will be excited for, and people
We're
will.
we're really trying to make a game that's really diverse,
Yeah.
and it really shows the struggle of anyone that's homosexual, that what they're going through. Also, women, black women, not white women anymore. We want to really get that down. Oh, story. Oh well, we haven't come up with the story yet. We just want to make sure that we have our ESG points.
That's what it is now. Sorry, I had to throw.
Hey, it's pretty spot on there. But it's just
Oh man.
the generic answers are what bother me more than anything else. And I used to just love to watch like the excitement out of the fans' faces, man, of just someone, uh, a little boy, a little girl, or just even an adult who gets excited about like, hey, I got to play this demo of Mario Kart, or I got to play this demo of whatever, and it was just super cool. And then when the lights would get down low and they would do a presentation, and like you said, the whole booing or the hissing or people, the real experience just changed everything, and you just can't stop laughing. Like, I did something
It's
pretty
just
cool.
it was just fun, man. It was just a good time. And even though they always did come with those, yeah, we are looking for an open world and you can span it and you can play online with your friends. And man, it was just like we expected it, but it's like, no, we're a lot younger. We kind of didn't know what we know now. We didn't really care. But I will revert back to it. There is one gaming show that they are coming back with that's live, and that's BlizzCon. BlizzCon is coming back. Who knows how that's going to go, but I'm saying that is the show that's going to have all Blizzard games. maybe all Activision games. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that is actual show where you can go in person. They'll be on stage. But like I said, man, the mentality of E3 is kind of gone.
It's gone, and it's sad, man, because a lot of young people will never get to see that again. And you know, I like to think because I'm the elder in the room here. I have lived through the golden ages of game. Exactly. Salute me, brother. Um, I have lived through the golden ages of gaming, and I have loved gaming since I was probably like maybe 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I was playing Pong for crying out loud. So I have played. Yes, I am that old. Um, uh, Luckily, vitamins and a 5-year-old have kept me going, sir. Uh, and kept me young in some form of way. But no, nothing has been more exciting, man, than just living through all these ages of different games and going through all these renaissance. And you really the renaissance peak, in my personal opinion, was the PS3 and the Xbox 360 was the height of the renaissance. The beginning of the renaissance was PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, and Xbox One because there's so many different games. And you're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was no more equity, diversity, and inclusion that took place during that time of the PS2, Dreamcast, and the Xbox, the original Xbox. There were so many great games that a lot of people will never get to see unless they're using emulators or they just happen to buy these old games. And they're like, whoa, wow, this is super amazing because there's too much money to be made making the same garbage every year or remaking something every year that nobody wanted to see. I mean, what are they going to do next? Remake Bayonetta? Oh, they are remaking a Bayonetta. This is actually the origin story of Bayonetta.
I don't
Uh,
know, dude. I like Bayonetta. I haven't played the third one yet, which I wanted to. Bayonetta 1 and 2 was great. I really like Bayonetta. What a great character. What a great game, dude.
it is
I
a
really
great
like Bayonetta.
anime too. If you haven't watched the anime,
Was that on Netflix or
that's maybe on Crunchyroll. I watched it
okay?
originally when it came out. There's no English, unfortunately. Sorry, you have to read subtitles.
It's still a great character, still a great game. I really like Bayonetta. I want to play 3. Right before I sold my Switch, I was going to get it and I sold it. But whatever, I'm going to play it. But I'm not really looking into Origins. I'm like, what are they doing? I don't know what that is. It looks like Bastion, which Bastion is a good game. Don't get me wrong, Bastion is a good game. But just it looks like that. I'm like, that's not really Bayonetta. And I don't really believe in the whole I didn't ask for this thing because that's just a stupid claim to say. No one asks for anything. It's just, they just make it. But I'm saying it's just weird. You know, uh,
Oh, I agree with you. What do you think, Bug?
Same.
Okay.
Origin stories are great if they're asked for, but I mean, this is Bayonetta. I mean, all you really need to know is, or my biggest question is, how is the suit able to stretch like that? That's it. That's my only question, and I don't feel like that's ever going to be answered.
good point.
Now, because you're a Nintendo fan, did you ever have a Nintendo Wii?
Yes,
Did you play Mad World?
Mad Ro- I do not believe I did.
Now, Macho Man, did you play Mad World?
Mad,
Mad World,
Mad World. No, I never played Mad World. I never even heard of. Wait, Mad World. Is that what the alien looking dude?
no, no. Mad World is a 3D, but it's in black and white. It's in black and white, and then basically it's a chainsaw on his arm, and anytime you cut somebody, it's blood red. It's
Oh,
very
that's like
artsy.
one of
It's
the really, really bloody games. I remember
yes,
Mad
and,
World. I never
and
played it though.
you have all these different ways to kill somebody. I actually have it. I actually
It
played
was
it.
so white and it was so black and white that the blood really, really, really stood out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
Yeah,
looking at some of the previews for it. It's pretty cool.
that was a nutty game. I
so
never
many
played it
different
though.
so many different ways to kill people, and actually, this leads up to one of my favorite games, if you like this style of game, which was also an online multiplayer game, Anarchy Reigns, which has a unbelievably great soundtrack. If you never heard of Anarchy Reigns, please look it up. I think you would enjoy it, and it has a lot of characters from Platinum Games um, that come from the universe of Platinum Games. Not only Bayonetta, who's in there, but just random characters throughout the Platinum series are in that game. So it's like a big time fighting game, but it has a lot of techno, deaf techno, and metal techno. Yes, I love techno music.
Nice. All right.
And they
I'm
have
looking
this
at.
song. You would probably like it, Macho. The song's called "Knock Your Effing Lights Out." Um, dude, it's awesome, man. You think you wouldn't like it at first, but it's really awesome. If you get a chance, listen to it. But I would like to take this time to talk about something that I am really upset about, and
What? You upset about something? Get out of here. No way.
absolutely. I am upset at the state of comic books, and the comic book in particularly is a comic book that's dear to my heart and to your heart, which is the Punisher and the latest run of the Punisher, and how the Punisher run at the very end is straight up trash in the worst way. And this was a guy who, in my personal opinion, I'll let you get going, hates the Punisher and basically did fan service for the first 3 or 4 episodes and then just totally just effed everybody. And that's basically how these writers now do that hate an IP. Your thoughts, sir?
Okay, so let's get. Let me get. I'm gonna make this quick. I don't want to take up too much time on this. So here we go. I'm gonna kind of start from the beginning here. I'm a huge Punisher fan.
Absolutely.
Love the Punisher. Great character. In my opinion, great character. Is he a hero? Is he anti-hero? One of the you pick. He's not a villain. I don't care what nobody says. He's not a villain. I got the first appearance of the Punisher. I got his first solo series. I got his first ongoing solo series. I'm a big Punisher fan. So, you would think that I would read the ongoing series of comic books right now with the Punisher. I did not. It's 1 through 12. It's right now, written by Jason Aaron. Okay? So, right now, the Punisher has been completely erased pretty much from Marvel. Now, not just die. If you die in a comic book, you can come back. They're trying to erase who the Punisher is. They're trying to erase him as if he never existed. It's complete bullcrap. Why do you ask? Because of politics. Straight up, 100% politics. I don't understand why. Now, I went off of my friends, not that because they agreed with it, because I had to explode on someone because I was so upset when I found this out. I refused to read it because I know where they were going with this. They were going to erase the Punisher. Again, like he doesn't exist. So why, you ask? Okay, so the politics is they do not like the fact Disney owns Marvel, so Marvel Disney does not like the fact that the Punisher skull is being worn, and this is a fact, this is not just me making this up, that the skull, I'm sure you know the Punisher skull. Everybody knows the Punisher skull.
It's iconic. It's epic.
It's iconic. Everybody knows it. So they don't like the fact that cops are wearing it, conservatives are wearing it, people in the army are wearing it. They don't like the fact that they like it and they embrace the skull. Now, let me get this out the way. I don't vote. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a lefty. I'm not a right. I'm not any of that. I'm actually a Christian. That's it. I'm just Christian. So I am very neutral when it comes to political things. I'm not on either side. I still have a brain. I still have feelings. I still have opinions. So my opinion is they're saying that these people that I said, police officers, conservatives, people in the army, are neo-Nazis, are white supremacists, which doesn't make any sense because there's Spanish people, black people, Asian people that like the Punisher, that are conservatives, that are in the army, that are police officers. Every race in America, at least one, is a police officer or a first responder or anything like that. So when they say they gaslight, they say they generalize. Oh, they're all conservatives. They're all white supremacists. It's disgusting. That's to spit in your face. That's like someone calling you a derogatory term. A white supremacist neo-Nazi is a horrible, horrible thing. No one would ever want to be called. That's like calling somebody the P word. I'm not going to say it on here, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It's a horrible thing to call somebody that because that can ruin their reputation. And if it's not true, that person can be called, so my point is They generalized these people, and they said that these people are wearing the skull. So now they gaslight themselves and say, okay, well, if they're wearing the skull, we have to change it. We have to change it. No more will we see these skulls. So what they do, this is what they decided to do to the Punisher that's been around since the 70s. A very popular Punisher with multiple games, with multiple movies, a very popular character. They decided to bring his dead wife back. This is what Jason Aaron decided to do. To bring his dead wife back. To bring his dead wife back. To spit in his face, Punisher's face, to tell him that he sucks, that what he did for her was all wrong, that she has all his money and she's taking one half and donating the other half to something else, took all his guns and got rid of them, and that she was going to divorce him. It's retconned. She was never going to divorce him. Jason Aaron is writing a diary of how much he hates the Punisher and using it behind the comic to act like that Maria, his wife, is talking. It's just the writer. It's the writer giving his opinions in a comic book, destroying the character. Destroying the character because of political reasons. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say that there was never a neo-Nazi or white supremacist that had the Punisher skull. I can guarantee you this, though. There's probably like 0.0001% of neo-Nazis or white supremacists wearing that Punisher skull. How do I know? Because you don't see them. It's the boogeyman that everybody wants to be afraid of. The old white supremacists, the old neo-Nazi. How often do you just see a neo-Nazi just walking around? Like just walking around, just in Publix or at the park. You don't see it. So they say that the conservatives are Nazis and the police officers are Nazis and the people in the army are.
Gotta have a boogeyman.
They don't have an actual source of like people out in the wilderness burning a cross that have a Punisher skull. They can't come up with it because it's not happening. So they have to say that the conservatives are. I will end on this. It's very disappointing that comic books and entertainment have been hijacked by politics. It's very sad. Now, I'm not saying that comic books have never been political. It's not true. Movies have been political. Some video games are political, and some comic books are political. Everything has something political. But when it leans so far to one side and is based on lies to get rid of someone that you don't like, which is fake, which is weird. The Punisher is fake. It's not a real person. It's just a comic book character. Because people that you don't like politically are liking the symbol and you screw over the fans. Let's get one thing straight. They're not going to stop wearing the skull. The cops are still going to wear it. The people in the army are still going to wear it. The people with the big trucks and the Jeeps are still going to have it. They don't even read the comic books. But you know who gets screwed over? People like me. People that read the comic, people that pay money to Marvel to make Punisher comics.
If you're going to pay money, please give money to Eric July and the ISOM comics, please.
Rippaverse.
Rippaverse. I've tried to reach out to him numerous times. I have yet to get any response from his people, but ISOM 2 just released. They've made over $1 million already. They made $4 million on their last campaign. So please, if you can, if you're a comic book enthusiast and you want to support a new comic book company, support Eric July's Rippaverse and ISOM 1 and 2. And of course, I can't think of the female lead, where he has the two girls that are either twins or their sisters that used to write for Marvel are now writing for this character.
Yep.
I can't think of her name right now. It escapes me, for the female lead for the Rippaverse. Yep. But she's going to meet ISOM here soon if she hasn't met him already.
Yep. And with that being said, I hope him the best. I'm glad that I got to I met his channel and I've been watching all of his videos, and I'm so happy for Eric, the Rippaverse, that they're coming out with comics, and he's you know what it is? It's not that it's anti-woke. It's not that it's anti-woke. It's just that it's not. It's just an original story with an original character, and just he's doing something he loves, and it's giving us something else to read instead of having to read Marvel and DC. It's just a regular comic for entertainment. And I'm so happy for Eric, man. I hope him the best. But I'll go back to, I will finish on this. I'm just disappointed. And you know what? They didn't get one dime out of me. And you know what? And look, I'm just a guy. I'm one guy. Marvel's not going to be hurt. Disney's not going to be hurt. But you know what? I can at least know that I'm not giving a dime to what. Also, I will say this: I actually canceled my pull list. I was getting Marvel comics and DC comics and all that. I went the next day and canceled. I said, you know what? Get rid of it. I'm not giving my money to Marvel anymore. So if I want to read a Punisher comic, I will go back to the ones from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. He's still my favorite hero. To me, he's a hero. To me, he's a superhero, anti-hero, whatever. And you know what? This is what kills the industry. People getting involved with politics. If you lean left, if you lean right, if you lean Republican, if you lean Democrat, if you lean Libertarian, stop doing this to your fans. It's like I don't understand it. It's like they hate money, but they still get it. But it's like the people that you're trying to go against are not going to stop doing what they're doing. But the fans are the ones getting hurt because they're the ones that are paying for the comics. And the only people you are screwing over are the people that pay for the comics. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm sick of giving these companies the benefit of the doubt because you know what? They don't deserve it. They don't. And I'm done.
Well, don't give money to people who hate you in the first place. Use public square, okay? Public square, you can find people who agree with your ideology or philosophies. I myself am a independent slash libertarian. I do not like the uniparty who's always for war. Because someone had asked me before in the email, where do I lean? I lean basically, I'm not for war. I don't want any of our soldiers to be hurt. I don't want anybody to be. Remember, in 2011 or was it 2012, the United States government actually passed a law where they can use propaganda against their own citizens. Before then, they could not do that. So people tend to forget about that. So I'm for look. If you're here, I don't care if you're green, blue, whatever you represent. You're my brother. You're my sister. We're all Americans. Let's take care of each other. Let's not give handouts, but hands up and pull people up, and everybody gets to the top. We don't all have to be at the bottom or in the middle. We can all rise together if we're willing to work together. But let me get my point in about comic books first, rather than going on this big political spill, because I'll be here all night if we do that. I don't want to get super political, but the Punisher, what he represents to me is he represents any and every average man, and to an extent, of if I lost my wife and my child, and it was to like a gang or something like that, and I had nothing left to live for, and I had a death wish, because more or less it is death wish,
It's Death Wish.
and you know, I would be fighting to save little children. I'd be fighting to save those who are less fortunate than me. I would be fighting to do whatever because I lost the thing that meant the most to me, which are my children. Oh, well, my child. I love my wife too. She doesn't listen to my show, so I don't care. Uh, if I come across kind of half cocked or whatever on those things, but you know, if anything ever happened to my little one. I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't sit in a corner and cry, and tell you that. And I can only ask for God's forgiveness for the things I'm about to do for redemption. And this is why I think Punisher is not really a hero. He's a man he's not a bad guy either. He's a man conflicted of trying to do the right thing because he lost the things most valuable to him. And when you lose your children, and that's the most important thing people tend to forget about the Punisher. He was a guy who, did this work, so forth and so on, but no one ever wants to be that guy that has to go and do the hard work. No one ever wants to be that guy that has to go out and be vengeance or be the knight or, whatever you want to call it. He just wanted to live a normal life, do his job, and then you force somebody to become something they didn't want to become, and then that's all they have. They have nothing else. That's what's driving them. And do you ever get over that pain of losing something like that? And this is where he's a deep character because he's never gotten over that pain. You would think, okay, I took out the bad guys, I'm done. No, that pain is with him eternally. And for them to do the way they done him, it's like, oh, I'm gonna take your money. I was gonna divorce you. You know, this is in sets in the modern day standards of we don't want people to be married. We want people to be divorced. We want people out there doing all this rando bullcrap. You know, it takes away from the family. And to say that she was going to divorce him, that was never the case. Again, he was projecting his own feelings and how he felt about the Punisher,
It's
and
his
just
diary. It
yeah,
was his diary. That's all he was. It was just this dude writing in there everything he hates about the Punisher and hiding behind Maria. That's all he was doing.
and it sickens me because of what the Punisher. Again, every guy, and I like to think without through history, has sacrificed himself, his his country, his family, not his family, his soul, his strength, everything. He gets up, he goes to work, and he doesn't. He may come home and complain a little bit, but he does it for his wife and his children. He kills himself for his wife and his children. He doesn't kill himself because he wants to kill himself. He kills himself because he has something to protect. He kills himself because he has something to love. He kills himself because it's in his nature as a human being to want to be that guy who's like, hey, I'm going to go out here and work for you. I'm going to go out here and do everything and be everything I can for you. I'm sorry, I can't be with you 24/7. I need time to, because every guy, has to have time to, like, after you worked a really long day, to kind of sit alone and kind of, catch yourself. And you can be, not everybody can just all of a sudden be this loving husband as soon as you get done with work or whatever. You have time to sit and relax, catch yourself, get ready, get your bearings, and then you can be that guy. Because sometimes you've had a tough day and you don't want to bring your problems home with you. And with the Punisher, it's like he's never alone. Regardless if you think he's a loner and he's by himself, his family, his two young children, his wife are always with him in his thoughts. And a lot of people don't understand that. At least that's my personal feelings on the Punisher. Um, and so it breaks my heart that this guy would do this to the Punisher, for one. And they changed his symbol to the Japanese demon symbol, which is kind of silly. I'm like, come on, dude. But I digress. Uh, the Punisher is never alone because he loved his family that much, and I respect any man who loves his family and puts his family before himself. And if you're willing, to go out there and do what you're supposed to do, because that's what's expected of you, not only from your family, but it's just how life is. It's how it's been since the beginning of the time, and it's how it's always going to be. And if you think it's something different because we're in a different age, a different time, then you're silly. I am sorry I've took up so much time, Bug. Can you tell me what you got going on?
Just what do you mean by got going on?
Uh, your thoughts and feelings on the Punisher.
I mean, what you said was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, I am married to a man who is exactly the way that you described, and I can see why he's such a big icon. And based off of what you guys, everything you guys have said, I can see why he's on uh, police cars, why he's on first responders. I mean, I have never actually read a Punisher comic, but now I want to. I want to read the original ones because it just seems like it's a true story. If it's really that's the type of character, I mean, shoot, they shouldn't change anything about that character. I mean, that honestly, it really did hit me right in the heart. I mean, that was just beautiful.
Well, I will move on from the Punisher. And Macho, what are you currently playing?
Whew. All right. So, what great words from the Punisher. Beautiful. I like that. I never thought of Punisher beautiful, but I'll take it. Awesome. I will say, what am I playing? Currently playing Halo. Looking forward to the new season. Halo Infinite online. Playing Final Fantasy 15. Pretty good so far. Kind of still in the beginning stages of Final Fantasy 15. Liking it. It's different. I haven't played a Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 10, so it's been a while. And I'm playing Diablo 4, Diablo 4. So those are pretty good. I'm playing those. Those are my current games so far.
And what about you, Bug? What are you currently playing?
I'm currently playing a couple different things. Of course, Tears of the Kingdom was mentioned, still a really great game. But when I get frustrated with that, I play another Switch game called Cult of the Lamb. If you've never played that before, it's really great. It's a sim game slash dungeon crawler. It's on every single system you can possibly think of. Also, their website is really funny. And they just had a DLC that dropped. On the PS5, I'm currently replaying Fallout 76, especially since there's going to be new, DLC content for it. I kind of wanted a refresher on the story in Diamond City. And I'm currently playing Story of Seasons Olive Town. It's kind of like my downtime game that I have with a glass of wine. It's really relaxing.
Awesome. I am currently playing some of my usual animes, which is Hogwarts Legacy, Disney Dreamlight, of course, Street Fighter 6, the Final Fantasy 16 demo, which is awesome. It's two parts. It's very beautiful. And was it Lies of P, the demo for the PS5,
Life of Pi.
which
Funny.
is super awesome. And you know, it's just so many good games that are getting ready to come out. And of course, Tears of the Kingdom. I have not finished it. I love it to death. I think it's so amazing. Now, I would like to, because Macho Man's running on a tight schedule, and so he's going to get out of here soon. But I would like to go ahead and say, how dare you? Now, my how dare you for this week is I dare you, Capcom, tease me with something similar to Dino Crisis and not give me Dino Crisis. I want Dino Crisis. It's one of those cool games, and you have so many good old games in your catalog that you could just redone, or even just some of the DS games. I mean, I don't need Attorney at Law, Ace Attorney 24/7. Give me something else. So, how dare you, Capcom, tease me with something similar to stuff I want and not give me what I want? How about you, Macho? What is your how dare you?
Oh, my how dare you was Jason Aaron's Punisher. That's really it, man. That's what I was coming with. I explained my how dare you on what Jason Aaron did to the Punisher. It was absolutely disgusting, and he was in cahoots with Marvel Disney to do it. And yeah, man, that was my biggest. I would say my biggest how dare you in the last 2 weeks, man. So that was mine.
And what about for you, Bug? What is your how dare you moment for the week?
My biggest how dare you moment is probably the PC gaming show. How dare you drop so much content at one time and only give a very small paragraph about what each game is with a photo? I don't know what's going on here. I don't think you know what's going on here.
And what are you currently listening to, Macho?
uh, what was I listening to today? I was
And
listening to a band called I think it's usually always on Rose Funeral. It's a metal band that has been disbanded. They
we
came
were
out with
talking
a
about that the other day, actually, me and Daryl.
oh, you guys know Rose Funeral?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's very interesting. That what a coincidence. Yeah, I was listening to them, and they came out with a single like about a year ago, and that was it. So I haven't. They're just a really good heavy metal deathcore band, and they're just not around anymore. So they're when you listen to it a lot, it's like already ready for you. Right when you get in the car or to the gym, it's like it's already pops up. So I just click on it and go. So I've been listening to some Rose and some Max the Demon, a rapper from New York. So yeah, those two right there. I've been listening to them. Those two.
And what are you currently listening to, Bug?
I'm actually currently listening to a lot of audiobooks. I never really listened or read Harry Potter growing up, so I'm currently going through that entire series and also rereading the light novels of I'm a Spider, So What?
Unbridged Harry Potter books or bridged?
Unabridged. If I'm
Okay.
going to do it, I'm going to do it all.
And hang
Apparently,
on a
the
minute. Hang on a
fire.
minute. What does that mean, really, real quick? I've seen this, and I was listening to Lord of the Ring. Lord of the Rings. What does that mean? Bridge or unabridged? I looked it up on Google, and I still couldn't really understand, or I might have forgot. Can you please explain?
Unabridged is kind of when a publishing company prints it straight, word for word of the way it was originally meant to be written. Usually, when something is abridged, it's shortened or it's censored, and so you don't get the full content. Like, for instance, with the Count of Monte Cristo, if you read the abridged version, it's probably only going to take you about 32 hours to finish. Where if you read the unabridged version, it's going to be 52 hours because
Why?
that's just how much they cut out.
Why do they cut it out for time?
Time, unnecessary stories. The original Monte Cristo had some racy bits because it was written in the 16th century.
So what? But
Uh,
that's the book.
yeah, but people get easily offended, and a
So
lot of
okay,
people
so
know
it's
what it's
edited.
been.
That's the main thing. It's
Pretty
edited.
much, it's edited, it's marked down. I
So
always
unabridged is the way to go.
pretty much, if you truly want to listen to the story, unabridged, 100%.
Oh God, man, what are we living in now? Now they're editing books.
Books have always been
I
edited.
No, I mean like because of that. But like, look, I don't. I gotta go. I can't get into a whole thing. I will say this. It's like I read it. I'm really quick. I read it. I listened to the audio book of it. Holy crap, that is a long book. Great book, long book. Now there's some derogatory terms in that book. Should that be taken out? No, it's part of the book. It's part of the story. It takes place in the 60s. So, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You know what's going on around the 60s. But why would you want that edited? It's part of the book. It is the story. It encompasses it's the story. If you edit it, you're editing the story. Why would anyone want to? It's edited. If it's abridged, it's edited. Okay, so unabridged is the way to go. Thank you.
Unabridged is pure 100% original story.
Okay,
It's
so I
going to
think I
be
am listening to Lord of the Rings unabridged. If I'm not, I'm gonna unabridge it.
a really good way to see if something's abridged or unabridged is to look at the various time. If it's even 10 minutes shorter, it's abridged. It may not be a full disclosure, but something has been taken out if it is a shorter time.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the Harry Potter's Unabridged are awesome, especially the last book, The Deadly Hollows, which is by far one of my favorite books. And even the two-part movie did not do that book justice, by the way.
Still a good movie though. I really
Yes,
enjoyed it.
it's still a good two-part movie, but it did not do it justice at all compared to how the book did it and how elegantly it was framed and put together. Now, when you speak to audiobooks, my favorite audiobook of all time is Frank Herbert's Dune, because Frank Herbert's Dune is considered my greatest story of all time. But what I'm listening to currently, I'm listening to some 80s music because my child's really into those kind of things because I want her to grow up listening to good music. I'm actually going to a laser show this weekend, which for Pink Floyd at the museum. And then they also have the Eagles and then Jimi Hendrix. Unfortunately, the Pink Floyd was sold out for the 6:30, but the 10 o'clock is available. I'm like, my child is not going to a 10 o'clock showing of Pink Floyd. So we just did the 7:20 or 7:30 of the Eagles, and she'll just have to be fine with that laser show. And I like all their music anyway, so it's a win-win scenario. So I'm just now trying to have her listen to Eagles music because she hadn't listened to that yet. Now, before we get out of here, let me give some shout outs to some very special people. Who would you like to give a shout out to, Mach? Can you give a shout out to your channel, please?
Give a shout out to my Twitch channel that I'm sometimes on, trying to get back into more streaming, which is the same name, XMACHOXMANX.
And do you do anything with YouTube?
Not much. I would like to once I get going with my firefighter stuff and get everything established. After I get going with that, I would like to get my YouTube channel going on more. If you are easily offended, please do not come because we are not PC here, even though I'm on PC.
And where
I
can
will.
people follow you at?
Again, if you can follow me on Twitter, I'm not really on it, but same thing. X Man X. Same with YouTube. X Macho X Man X. Twitch, same thing. Very good marketing, so it's easy to find. And shout out to Ryan and Joel and Christian. If you're listening to this, you guys rock.
All right, and for you, Bug, where can people look for you at your different locations?
I would just like to give a shout out to one of the greatest places to work, Old School Player. If you're in the Lexington area, it's an amazing place to stop by, really good and wholesome. I would also like to give out a shout out to my biggest supporter, my husband, who works a real job so I can have fun, and my best friend, Shanna.
Excellent. And I'd like to give a shout out to my YouTube channel, which is Sabertron13. Also, my Twitch channel, which is Sabertron13. And my other one, which is more to an adult, so I'm not going to bring that one up because that's where the libertarian comes alive. So that one will not be brought up. Also, a shout out again to Resin Sterold on YouTube.
Woo!
Another shout out to the Loot Bros podcast.
Loot Bros!
And I look forward to talking to RG385, RGT85 tomorrow, aka Sean. Big channel, almost a million, or he did almost have a million subs over on
Favorite
YouTube.
Nintendo
Yep, he's
Nintendo
my favorite
YouTuber.
Nintendo guy. So big shout out to him. I look forward to talking to him tomorrow on the Loot Bros. And we appreciate everybody coming tonight. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.